All right, welcome to another video. I hope you're doing well. Today I'm on Banks Lake for an evening fishing trip. The goal today is to show you a very underutilized fishery that we have here in Central Washington. Actually in the Pacific Northwest, or north of all of USA really. Great Lakes, Idaho, Montana. But today I'm on Banks Lake, Steamboat Rocks right behind you guys. This is a little area called Devil's Punch Bowl. It's the deepest part of the lake, and these whitefish hang out suspended down here about 100 feet down. So we're fishing right on the edge of that, wherever they're suspended in the lake. And so I'm gonna rig up a little drop shot here and show you the technique that's been working for us for almost 2 decades. It's a pretty universal one, but it works just about everywhere, but again, every body of water can be a little bit different. But let me go on ahead and tie up a drop shot here and show you a brief rundown and hopefully pull one of these up so you can take a look at it. All right, so you want to definitely have a rod that's fairly sensitive on the tip, but not all floppy chicken. So you want it to have a little bit of strength to it, but enough sensitivity to be able to tell these little bites. It's similar to fishing for kokanee at night, jigging. Well, jigging for kokanee in general, the bite's usually really fast. It just taps it really quick, and you gotta be quick on setting the hook, otherwise they spit it and swim on. So that's for the rod. The line, you definitely need to run braid. All my rods I run Power Pro. Right around 10-pound test is plenty, and you get a lot of it on there. And then for the leader, you just tie on. Usually I run like 6 to 10 feet of P-line fluorocarbon, 10-pound. It seems pretty strong. I have a little nick in this line. I don't feel like retying it for the sake of time. If we get a fish, hopefully we don't lose it. But I'm definitely marking a couple fish down here, 90 to 110 feet down. The best hook that we've found that works for this is a Gamakatsu split shot drop shot size 2. And so we'll give ourselves a little bend in the line here. And then we'll keep the hook pointing up towards the tip of the pole if you follow the line. Give this guy a little bend. Stick him through. I think it's essentially referred to as a polymer knot. Kind of straighten him back out. Tighten that knot down a little bit and bring the bottom end that's going to go to the weight through the eye. Oh, my hands are shaky. And then we'll want to drop down that knot as much as it'll go. So then you give it tension, and that's sitting pretty upright. And then as for a weight, just grab yourself like a, I don't know, 3/8 ounce or whatever you got. And then you want to double check this to make sure it's pinched together well enough. If it's not, grab some pliers, squeeze that together. All right, we got that. And then my favorite go-to are Berkley Power Bait. I think they're called Power Nymphs. Grab this guy. We'll trim off his tentacles here in the front. And then usually I even pull off the legs. Just leave the little pinchers. Just clean that guy up a little bit. Thread him through. Okay. Okay, that's looking really good. Close that up for now, and then for bait, people usually run some sort of shrimp or maggots. My favorite thing by far is just a good old-fashioned maggot. I like to put 2 of them on. Double check our alignment here. We look pretty good. Presentation is everything, especially when it comes to drop shot. And so we'll send him down. There she goes. Looks like we got a decent amount of fish down there. Okay, we hit bottom, we got slack line, so we'll go ahead and reel up and then just start slowly jigging it, giving it pauses every once in a while. And then little tiny micro jigs. This is essentially what we're looking for if you're using traditional sonar. This is the very deep water, and they're all stacked up in here. Right around that 200-foot mark. I'm sorry, 100-foot mark, 90 to 110. So if you're running traditional sonar, you'll just see just a solid line all throughout this area. And so I like to bump up to where they're somewhere near the bottom. Different lakes you can fish different ways. I'm sure even here you can drop down a spoon roughly to that 100-foot mark and try to jig up with the spoon. That works sometimes. Like Flathead Lake, Montana, there's a big scene there with those big green jigs. On this particular lake, drop shot seems to work well. A lot of people tend to prepare shrimp for this exact fishery. You could just thread it onto your drop shot hook as best that you can. And there's ways that you can prepare it ahead of time, like brining it in salt for a while just so that shrimp firms up a bit more. It stays on the hook a little bit better, but it's similar to using corn as bait for like kokanee fishing or trout fishing. It falls off pretty easy, usually after the first bite. If you miss a fish on the first bite, more than likely your shrimp is gone, so you got to reel up and drop back down. It works good sometimes. Again, every day is different, every lake is different, but yeah, oftentimes you could even put some ProCure on there or some borax just to give it some scent, some color. But ideally, you're looking for a little more firm shrimp. This was a very spontaneous trip. It's a 2-hour drive out here and it's already almost 7 o'clock p.m. So didn't have time to prepare shrimp. That definitely works on some of the slow biting days. I've always preferred to use bait that sticks a little bit better, like for example, this power name for other little tiny grubs, something small like crappie jig style, and just tip that with some maggots and that holds up pretty good. This is usually a morning fishery. I have not spent any time out here trying for whitefish in the evening. It seems slow right off the bat, but that doesn't mean much because it seems like these fish move. They come and go in waves. Once in a while you'll get an aggressive school, just bam, bam, bam. You know, 5 fish in the boat. The limit's 15 a person on this lake. So hopefully we can catch one. Fish on. Please stay pinned. Let's go, baby. So at this point, my main camera decided to overheat that my mic's connected to, but I'm essentially saying that it's super fun pulling them up from 110 feet down. Nice. Sounds like I'm pretty happy that the fish is in the net. And the sound that you're hearing is their air bladder. Basically whatever's going on with the barrow trauma from pulling them up really fast. They got air coming out and so they gurgle. It's a normal sound. When you get the hook in their snout, usually it's in there pretty good. So there we are. These are definitely a really cool fish. And they smell like fresh cucumbers. So definitely a pretty neat fishery. One thing I do recommend is to come in the morning, not in the evening, because this is tough. This is way off. So if you come out and do this, which I do recommend doing, do it in the morning. There we go, fish on. That one basically double tapped it. Ooh, do you see that? Like you gotta hold on. And if you have multiple rods in, then you gotta really be careful because they tangle up every once in a while. Because when these things rip, they go. You can't really stop them. Trust me, after 15, your arm cramps. I'm not over exaggerating, but this fishery is really fun. And these fish are very clean. They're super delicate. That's why they're down deep, because they need cold water. We got ourselves a bonus. And speaking of which, the biggest burbot that I've ever seen in my life, this thing could have been a state record. Came from right here. My mom caught it. That thing was huge. Wow. These fish are so interesting. Let's see how long it is. "24 inches on the dot." Gonna let him go. Took him a second, but I think he's good. If we see something floating in 5 minutes, might be that burbot. We'll have to go scoop him up. All right, well, I'd like to thank you all for watching this video. I really hope that you can take my word for it. I didn't have much fish to prove my point here, but this is definitely a very fun fishery that is pretty much underutilized in my opinion. When you come here, you see a lot of boats stacked up with the people that know. There's people coming from Seattle, from Spokane, from around here. Central Washington Lake, so you got people schooling up, and we have fish jumping. Might have to put on a rooster tail. But this is a very fun fishery, super underutilized, and it's fun for the family. I highly recommend coming in the morning. I mean, I came out here, my goal was to show you at least one fish. Honest to God, that was my goal, and I'm happy that was met. Thank you, Lord. But very fun. Show up in the morning if you can. Have a drop shot setup. Bring shrimp, bring maggots, bring a bunch of little plastics, whatever you have, crappie jigs, and then just start cycling through until you figure out what they want. And as the day progresses, you have to continually change it to stay on top of the fish. But it's really fun. If the weather is good, you can swim right off the boat, hop back in, keep fishing. Pretty fun for the kids because the fight's pretty hard, similar to that burbot. The first one I caught was average, slightly under average size, but they still fight hard. And I'm telling you, after 5, 10, 15 of them, your arms are tired, and it's really fulfilling and super fun. And these fish are delicious. You can smoke them, very good smoked, classic. I put them on the air fryer, salt, black pepper, garlic powder, air fry them up, put them on the pan, deep fry them. Whatever you do, they're delicious. Very oily, part of the salmon family, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, they're delicate, they're sensitive. They need super cold water, that's why they're down there. Speaking of which, I need to drop down the TD Connect, see what temps they're swimming around in. So again, thank you for joining me. My name's Greg. I had a blast, even though I caught 2 fish, but it's a day out on the water. That's all I had, and I'm grateful. Thank you, Lord, and thank you for watching. Again, don't do this in the evening, unless you know something I don't. If you do, I'm happy for you. Do this in the morning.